things, but I felt like, again, the conditions weren't easy. It's not the easiest place to play. I felt like we found some decent moments to create what I thought were pretty good looks, in a couple of those situations. Still a lot of room for growth and to get better in those areas, but I'm seeing some things. Again, we've obviously played with Eddie, a couple different guys with Eddie to try to find the right balance and the right solution with and without the ball in those scenarios. So some of it to me is I'm thinking about where last year a lot of times I had such clarity with our group. I knew who should be playing next to who in many situations, and right now it's trying to figure out within our structure who is the right guy next to the right guy to have the fluidity that we need to have to build the speed ahead of the ball, things like that. So it's also me working with the group and figuring out how to adapt with the group without changing what we want to do, because we will have guys coming back as we
Can an option be, maybe I saw the other night, Gabriel maybe going more central runs?
Yeah, I mean, it's a way we wanted to use Gabriel in the last game. The challenge is that he defaults back to wanting to go back to the wing and getting himself into what he feels are going to be 1v1 situations. I felt like in the last game there was a ton of opportunity for him between the lines and to be picking up the ball, moving and making final decisions, whether those were slipping guys through or choosing himself for a shot or things like that. But he kept kind of defaulting out to the width, which was then putting sometimes either Harbor on the inside or somebody else on the inside. So ultimately, we'd like to get Gabe on the ball. That is something that can help us. And sometimes when you're just out on the wings, it's not as easy to get him on the ball in situations. And this is where some of our other guys need to support getting him the ball in the right ways, not just dishing it off to him and having him figure it out, but setting up the conditions so that he can be more successful when we do get him.
There was something more of Royce's playmaking ability this last game.
Yeah.
So matter of just testing.
Yeah, it was a slightly different role for him, but I thought because of it he was able to face forward a little bit more. He had more options ahead of the ball. He was he was able to choose his options better because of, again, he wasn't just standing high and waiting for us to get him the ball, which is one of the things I think we're having sometimes a little bit of trouble with, is getting the ball at the right time in the right spaces to the guys high up the field. By putting him lower, he was the one delivering some of the balls into those higher positions, and now we need to make better use of those balls.
Is that something you go forward with?
It's a consideration. I mean, it's again, there's pros and cons to all of these choices, and the oppositions that we play are all kind of different, but it's definitely something that on the day, I mean, he's a good soccer player, so depending on where you put him, he can have an impact on the game. So that's certainly something that we consider.
Thoughts on Harbor's performance?
I thought he had a really strong game. I thought, it's not easy to go down there in Central America and just meet the physical sort of demands of playing against Central American team that is aggressive. They're running hard. I thought physically he met the demands of the game. I thought in his duels he was very solid and clean. There's a couple of times he had to track guys back and he made good plays in those situations. I thought he's a confident kid on the ball. I mean, he was originally an attacker, so I wasn't really concerned about what he was going to do necessarily on the attacking end, because he has those qualities are his most comfortable qualities. It was for me kind of the defensive decision-making things and dealing with one-on-one situations or dealing with runners in behind him and things like that. But we felt like Emmy was there, so if they did get behind him, he would have the speed of Emmy to be able to cover him if and when there might be a decision that was a little off just because of the speed of things. But I thought he had a really solid game, and he put in a ton of work, a shift through the course of the game. So I thought he did a great job.
Your assessment of Elijah and how has he progressed?
Yeah, Elijah, I think he's trying to gain the speed of everything. He's a long, rangy player who, when he plays in the lower pivots, it's just about things being sharper, awareness around him and his feet being quicker and when to combine off of guys. Like, he kind of gets caught a little bit in the ball. So I think it's awareness and speed of play are things that he's adapting to still inside of our game and what we're trying to do, and depending on his role. I think when he's higher up the field, you get to see some of his rangy runs and that he can He has more space to run and to work, and where things aren't necessarily so intricate. But when he's in the second pivot, things are a little more intricate sometimes, and those are things he's still organizing his feet, getting to get himself in the right positions fast enough where he he cruises from A to B sometimes when it needs to be a 5-yard sprint. It can't be a 5-yard jog. So there's things like that I think he's growing and he's evolving. But the issue is him and Lucas in theory should be able to come to our league and have a little time to acclimate. If you remember, Gabe didn't hit the ground running here either, and he's a phenomenal player. He's a top player, right? So these guys need time to acclimate. The problem is that we don't, as a group, a fan base, and everything, we don't feel like we have the time for them to acclimate because we're moving, right? And we're in a knockout tournament, and they need to acclimate. And so I'm trying to give them a lot of space, and Elijah a lot of space to learn and opportunity to learn, because I do think his physical qualities over the course of the season can really help us. He's a different type of midfielder, but while he's learning, you know, and that's part of it.
They kind of the same thing with Sanabria.
Yeah, I mean it's the same with Sanabria. It's also for me like the best role for him. Is it a little lower? Is it a little higher? Again, I think right now both of them are a little more comfortable higher because it's not as intricate and the timing isn't as precise. And there's a little more space to run and to move, which is some of their strengths. So, but again, I think it's adapting. And for Lucas, there's more variables because in English, he doesn't understand everything that's going around him when guys are communicating or when I'm giving some direction here or there. We're constantly translating, but there's a lot going on inside of speaking as a guy who went to a country where I didn't speak French and was there, and I'm like, what the hell is everybody talking about? And you're trying to figure it out, and it's tactical adapting, and it's adapting to the speed of a new game. So it takes a little bit of time. Fortunately, with the injury, he's going to need a little more time. He's going to be out.
We'll go here.
It's a fracture, so I would say, I don't know, call it 6 weeks-ish. I don't know exactly.
Hey,
all right.
Max from Germany. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Max.
Just one quick question. What is so special about Macaronis as player and as personality?
Yeah, I think again his experience. I'm talking on the field first, but his awareness, his experience is phenomenal in terms of like how soft his feet are, vision, how he's able to move himself around the field and understand solutions. So there's game reading and understanding what the game needs and all those kinds of things. But then there's just the ability to make the right choice. For me, the difference between great players and good players is the ability to make the right decision and execute upon the right decision more times than the average player in the course of the game. And the special ones have the ability to do more things than the average player. So he can change the rhythm of a game. He has quality in the final product. He has a lot more